this be one of the best moments of your life. You're listening to the Business Mirror podcast for a broader look on business with Senior Editor Dennis Estopase.
Good day. Today we are going to talk to Ms. Chit Juan, co-founder of ECHOstore and longtime advocate of organic products, as Mr. Marco Schlter, the
Yes.
International Development Manager of Naturland, a Germany-based organic group. How are you, Ms. Chit Juan and Mr. Schlüter?
Well, I'm good. I'm in Manila, and I'm very excited about this partnership that we will talk about today.
How about you, Mr. Marco? How are you from Germany? It's early morning in your time zone.
Yeah, early morning, or already, I think, a reasonable morning time, 9:30 here. And we have actually the biggest organic fair starting today. But due to Corona, it's now all digital. So I will join the fair digitally, as well as I join this podcast digitally. So, but I'm excited about the opportunities and that we can still move on to bring our organic cause forward despite difficult times.
That's good to hear. Maybe we could ask first Ms. Chit Juan and afterwards Mr. Marco, what is this new partnership between ECHOstore and Naturland is all about from the perspective first of ECHOstore? Ms. Chit?
Hi, thank you for that question. ECHOstore has been promoting organic products from inception, and I myself, being one of the founders of ECHOstore, I have been in organic, I would say the organic movement, if you will, since 2004, actually, a long time ago. And I came across the name of Naturland, in a seminar or in a conference I attended in Africa in 2004 on organic coffee. So the name has been familiar to me for many years. And then a little more than a year ago, Mr. Schlüter was brought by a common friend to ECHOstore. And when I heard he was from Naturland, I said, of course, I know Naturland. And I think he was the one who was surprised because not a lot of people actually are familiar with the certifying bodies, with farmers' organizations. So, from maybe 18 months ago, Marco and I met. And from there, we started to think about how we can work together to make the organic movement in the Philippines stronger by having consumers have access to organic certified products. Because you can just say it's organic. Some people even confuse hydroponic with organic. They think that anything green that grows from out of the ground is organic. But having had experience in organic certification many years back, Marco and I almost spoke the same language right away. So I was very excited. And so 1 year after, we forged the partnership between Naturland and ECHOstore so that we can make the products available not just for export markets, but also for our local consumers. Because right now it's COVID, it's a pandemic, people are looking for safer products, cleaner food, and a certification by Naturland, of course, assures the consumer that what he or she is buying has been certified by a third-party certification, ensuring that the food is really safe.
Thank you, Ms. Chit. For you, Mr. Marco, this has been a partnership in the making even before the pandemic. So how big and how important is this partnership from the perspective of Naturland?
Yes, I think both organizations are pioneers in their field. So ECHOstore is and was one of the first going in the direction of sustainable food, organic food, authentic food in the Philippines. Naturland was established in 1982. So you can say we're almost celebrating our 40th birthday. and we were the first in Germany. It's a farmer association. Yeah, we are a farmer association that also offers certification, not the other way around. It's very important. We are close to 100,000 farmers that we have certified and are members within the Naturland community. So, and in the 80s, we were the first one, starting in Bavaria, actually, in Germany, and then extending to Germany. But then we were the first one also taking up a tea farm in Sri Lanka. So this was the start of our international work. And since then, it has developed steadily. And so from this part, it became natural that we look where we have partners. In the Philippines, we have more than 3,000 farmers certified according to Naturland standards already. So we were there mainly for the export. But we also have to consider that the basic idea of organic is, of course, to have local value chains so that farmers can also sell locally, that we help and promote organic in the context of local value chains, local markets, and Philippines, of course, I mean, have been, for me personally, a very exciting place. So I visited it regularly now before the Corona pandemic. And then, yeah, as Pasita said, we met naturally, organically. So this was a kind of destiny. And since then, we thought,
That's
okay,
good.
So there is sometimes it works, sometimes not. And in this case, it worked very well. And in my opinion, the philosophy of both fits well together. And we like to support this pioneering. And also that we saw, I mean, I talked to many stakeholders. I made a kind of investigation of the situation in the Philippines. And what is really needed is that you have the consumers need orientation where they can trust. Yeah, they might. I mean, the market, the organic market in the Philippines is there is something, but it's very disorganized. So consumers, and it's very mixed. You find different labels. You find sometimes organic, but not labeled. There's no certification behind. So you find many. The only really one labeled as the one coming from US or Australia, a little bit of Europe. And I mean, I got a little bit terrified when I saw an US product of coconut. I was a coconut oil or coconut, whatever it was, I can't remember. But it was produced in the Philippines, but imported from the US. And I think this cannot be what we want to do. Yeah, I mean, so it's also to create the value added in your country for the products you produce. So this is, let's say, the driving force. We are non-profit. We want to promote organic farming. We have, of course, one tool which is called certification. So we have our own standards that the farmers, our members, decide on themselves on. So the standards are going, let's say, beyond the requirements that government standards normally set. So and of course, what is also, our farmers are part of the community, so we care for them, we talk with them, we visit them, so we know our farmers. It gives additional value and additional credibility to the products, and that the consumers can even more trust. Yeah, that's not only the state certification, which is also something, of course, I don't say anything against, but we give an extra layer on it. Yeah, so it's actually, if you buy a Naturland product, normally it's a government certification plus a private standard. So there's even let's say more security. So the farms are even better taken care of, and I think that's it. And we saw actually this partnership, the vision that ECHOstore also had to move on, to develop further, to see the chances in the market from their perspective, and what we can bring as a grassroots movement, also helping to increase the credibility, having information. This fit well together, and this is the way it formed. And Corona was good enough to make the cooperation more challenging, but it was not good enough to stop the partnering starting. And that's what happened now with, let's say 1 year delay in the way we wanted to do it, or perhaps even 9 months. But I'm the more happy is that we could kick it off now, because I think there is a huge potential for organic in the Philippines with so many aspects. Because we shouldn't forget, organic in the Philippines, there was a movement from the church driven in the beginning since the 1970s, and many grassroots organizations are there, but basically on production, how to do it better, which is great. But what is really the connection between farmers and the consumers? This was really missing.
Sir, you mentioned earlier that you have more than 3,000 Naturland farmers in the Philippines right now. And to be clear, before the pandemic and even before this partnership, all their products are only for the export market and nothing is sold, or only few is sold in the domestic market?
I mean, we're talking about now the Naturland certification, and the purpose of joining us was mainly to open up markets in Europe and in Germany. But of course, those partners, we have different partners. And some partners, I mean, we are engaged in the Philippines since the mid of the 1990s. So it's also to make clear, we are very connected to Philippines. It's then, I think, if I count right, something like 25 years. So that's something. And on the other hand, those members, they sometimes often they produce other things. They sell it on the local market. Yeah, and some are more for only export or whatever. This is really depending. But what we want to do now, we want to give more than, let's say, the one cash crop for export. We want to broaden this and saying, look, you're certified Naturland, use it and sell also, for example, your muscovado sugar, your coconut virgin oil, your turmeric tea or whatever. You can also sell it as Naturland and be part of the next step from ECHOstore Naturland in this case, and perhaps showing the advantages to consumers, promote organic together, and for them, of course, also having new market opportunities.
Let's talk about how do you see organic farming growing in the Philippines given the preference for rice and other cash crops. Let's go first with Sir Marco, with your experience with the Philippines, and then with Miss Chit Juan for next.
You know, what I observed in Southeast Asia, and perhaps also China is the same, that you had organic was very much driven by the opportunity to get money for cash crops exporting. So this was a long time the driving force. Yeah, of course you had grassroots movements in the Philippines, and and then you had in the Philippines the element of self-sustaining, because you have many farms in remote areas where you have not even access to any distribution channels. So that is anyway for self-sustainment. So this is the other part. But it's also very local or very export driven. Now what we could see in Asia the last perhaps 10 years is that you have more local markets, domestic markets developing. Still, exports are, I think, by far the most important. But for example, China has become the fourth biggest organic market in the world. Yeah, next to US, Germany, and I think was it France, if I remember well. I mean, then China is there. So I don't have the numbers for this year, but there was something like 1 year ago there were numbers of I think close to 9 billion euros turnover. So it's a kind of local market, you can say, in Southeast Asia and China region. And also the Philippines. I mean, it was, of course, we have to see. I mean, Corona is a big question take, how markets will develop. But the Economic Forum of Davao was saying, it's not, I mean, it's something, it's a serious source. They said they expect Philippine middle class to outspend the Italian middle class by 2030. So, and this was, when I looked into this, I looked also by, it was normally by 2020 already, it was said that by purchasing power, Asia will have the highest share of GDP, not in total nomina, but purchasing power. And this was so, I think there's a really economic shift to Asia. Of course, now we see also worldwide the different regions. It's not anymore one global order. I mean, there's a lot of confusion politically. And then, of course, the pandemic. So, but still you can say the economic shift towards Asia, and Asia becoming more important, having a middle class developing very strongly in Asia and also Southeast Asia, and including Philippines, will be there. And I personally expect, talking to many people in Philippines, that there will be also a strong recovery in the Philippines from the pandemic. Although you are among the hardest hit in Southeast Asia, this is as far as I saw the figures. So that's also true. But I still think, and so what I see, the people becoming in the urban areas very interested in looking for healthy options. Yeah, having good natural food, and then they're looking what is there, and we want to offer a good concept, credible, let's say a credible choice, so that consumers can make an informed choice and saying, look, this is really good organic products. This is certified by private standards, potentially also by government standard. So, and then consumers, and if you choose this product, you can be quite sure it's a good product. And I think that's just helping consumers to provide orientation. And I think there's a huge chance. Although there is, of course, a hard hit with the pandemic, but nevertheless, I'm very optimistic that good organic food will play an increasing role in the future.
Thank you, sir. How about you, Ms. Chit Juan? You've been in the industry for so long, for decades now. How do you see it growing further, especially like what Mr. Marco said on problems of the supply chains locally?
I think the problem or the challenge for us is actually just awareness. If people are more aware, and thanks to people like you in media, if people are more aware that organic is really the safer way to go. Right now, everyone is thinking of health. Everyone is thinking of safety. So good food, clean and safe food is really at the top of the list. Like Jasper and I were talking a while ago why people still prefer tilapia to galunggong
Gonggong, yes.
instead of tilapia,
Yeah.
or why Filipinos prefer rice to bread. And it's really very cultural. But rice, I know that organic rice would be rice that is grown by, the slow food farmers. They don't use the hybrids that use the pesticide. They don't use the GMO seeds. So they are natural and organic. So I think if people knew more about the difference and about the advantage of having
Organic.
organic rice, which we eat almost 3 times a day, I think they'll shift to organic. So we had a very good conversation in our meeting last a few weeks ago with Mr. Arvind of Thailand. Nobody wanted to believe him when he invested in organic rice growing. But when he saw that the farmer had the baby in a front pack, alam mo yon, yung kasabit yung baby sa harap.
Yes.
The baby is in front, and at the back of the farmer is a knapsack of pesticide. He couldn't take it. And I think, Jasper, you will see that in some of our farms.
Yes, locally.
Locally. And the farmer thinks he has no choice. At the same time, the consumer says, well, I don't know where to buy organic. So that's what our partnership is trying to address. One is to help the farmers who are organic to get to a supply chain. And two is to help the consumer who is looking for a safer product. So it's making the farmer and the consumer meet, hopefully with just ECHOstore virtually as the middleman, if you will, or the place to carry all these safer products. So I think it will grow. I think organic farming will grow for as long as the consumer demands it. Just like with coffee, my experience in coffee is that people will say, nobody will buy coffee that's more than this amount. Now, it's crazy. When we said, you must know the origin of your coffee. Now, everybody is willing to pay higher for fair trade coffee because they know the farmer gets this much. And by the way, Naturland also has a fair certificate, right, Marco?
Yes.
Because I just got a question from a coffee roaster this afternoon asking, is there a local fair trade certification? I said, I know Naturland has, because this is a product that's being inquired for Europe. So you see, if the consumer, like the European importer, demands organic, then we have no choice but to toe the line. So the consumer must ask for it. Like we always tell consumers, you are a co-producer. What you will buy is what the farmer will grow. Or in this case of galunggong, what you will buy is what the farmer will fish. And he's not going to sell you tilapia, he's going to sell you galunggong. The power is with the consumers.
With the COVID-19 pandemic as our context today, what were the changes in the consumer awareness that you observed last year, Mr. Marco, and you also mentioned earlier that consumers become more health conscious, but could you expound more on that in terms of their on their awareness, particularly for organic products during the past year?
I think you refer now for the consumers Philippines, which are probably is something that Pasita has to answer, because she I think was present for my other continent observation. on the Philippines, of course, I thought, I mean, during the pandemic, people, of course, had other things to think about because it was life-threatening. You had lockdowns everywhere in the world. In the Philippines, a very tough one. I can perhaps, but one observation from Germany, what we saw that the sales in organic were continuing to increasing in the pandemic because people had to stay home. Of course, they are also becoming more poor because there are economic impacts. On the other hand, if you cannot make a nice holiday or other things to spend, you want at least good food. And for those consumers who are already health conscious or thinking about it, I mean, one thing you got extra, you had more time to think. So actually, people thought, I mean, we even saw that people started to invest in certain things they're interested even stronger. So those health conscious consumers looked into it more, and we could see increase in organic purchase. Yeah, of course, not in the restaurants. And so this we could see. What I see from the Philippines, but it's more Pasita to tell was, of course, the other thing which happened worldwide is, let's say, the e-commerce. And I think that's where Pasita is also on. And that's also the strategic vision of ECHOstore that we like, also investing in this domain, because many shops were not anymore visible, or people try to limit mobility. So online purchase, online offer is there. But I don't think that the pandemic was the moment to increase the awareness. But it's continued, at least in Europe, to grow. And there were new models developing, satisfying those needs already existing. But that's at least my view.
So I saw that during the pandemic, of course, we closed our mall stores and we just shifted to online. And everybody is looking for the products, virgin coconut oil, turmeric tea. And these are the products that we have that's Naturland certified. You know?
Especially when with the virgin coconut oil, ma'am, when it has it
Correct.
had clinical studies that it was
That's
shown
right.
that it is effective against the coronavirus.
So with the turmeric also being one of the health health drinks, we're selling turmeric tea in different sizes and all that. And then of course everybody wants to use sugar, but I never sold white sugar ever in ECHOstore. We always sold our Alter Trade Muscovado from 2008. We've been selling them Alter Trade, and then also coconut sugar is a big because now people are aside from COVID, of course, every other person we have a very high incidence of diabetes in the country. So people shift to coconut sugar rather than white sugar. Or the next best thing is Muscovado, which they also like. And so even if you just look at these 4 products for now, virgin coconut oil, Muscovado, coconut sugar, and turmeric, these are all consumables that people who are, who care about their health would always consume. And the price is not the price is all different because the virgin coconut oil, some people even buy 4 liters of virgin coconut oil. It's really amazing, 4 liters. Can you imagine? And then there's been a lot. And then last Christmas, because we make a lot of gift sets or hampers, as you call it, a lot of people put virgin coconut oil, turmeric. It's called the health essentials. So
is that then you put the new Christmas basket, ma'am?
Yes, the new Christmas basket. It's no longer in fashion to put all these high sugar things, or high fat, or corned beef, or ham. And now with like I was telling you, Jasper, with pork prices on the rise, and then with avian flu, and then beef has foot and mouth disease, people are turning not only organic but plant-based. So that's another food trend that we must think about.
I asked that question because a few weeks ago, the inaugural State of Organic Produce 2020 report was released. And that report showed that sales of organic products in the US grew by 14% last year to $8.5 billion. And in the UK alone, the UK Soil Association said that their organic market was up 12.6% last year.
Wow.
And when we searched a Naturland grower, Mr. Anton Naderer of Lower Bavaria, said in an online report that the pandemic did help accelerate marketing organic products during the pandemic.
Wow, you did your research, huh?
Do you think, Mama, do we have such data in the Philippines? If we don't have, which I think is not surprising, why is that so? And do you think it's important for the government or even together with the private sector to have statistics or data on the organic market in the Philippines?
I think we should. I think we should start keeping, taking stock of what we have in terms of figures, no. But I would safely say that healthy food definitely will jump up by double digits. Yeah, every year.
Yeah.
And if only we had the baseline for organic, and I don't know, maybe Naturland can do a little more research or probably start a baseline, then we can safely assume that what happens in the US and the UK will be reflected in the Philippines in terms of rise of demand for safer products.
And do you think, Ma'am Cheat and Sir Marco, that price of organic products is still a concern for Filipino consumers? Is it hindering them from shifting or buying organic products? Just like, for example, just last month, our President Duterte amended the organic law to allow more third-party and guarantee
PGS, yeah,
certification, which is cheaper than what the currently is available in the market.
I think that that is the way of the world. I think there is already a clamor for from consumers to have more choices of organic products. Like as if I can again quote Mr. Arvind of Thailand. He did say that there are 15 million items you can supply to a grocery. So there are 15 million opportunities to make them organic. And so even for our producers, it's a very, very big silver lining that the pandemic has brought upon us. So I think given that, healthy food, online shopping or e-commerce, and of course the good name of Naturland, I think we have a good formula moving forward in making organic household term, and in making consumers want the organic version of something.
How about you, Sir Marco?
Yes. I mean, I think, yes, the price is, of course, overall an issue, but I think organic is a concept and is an offering for I mean, organic was not developed for a market approach. It was developed to change something because we're seeing heavy negative impacts of the green revolution, of environmental health concerns. So this was a concept. So the question how you put in practice, and I think the key to success is a diversity of approaches in organic, because you don't have one approach, one fits all solution. That's also it's not true for the farm level. Every farm will find new innovation as a solution. It's also true for the market. You have different offering. You will have, I mean, Germany is one of the most developed organic markets. You have specialized organic supermarkets. Only having, really, you like a normal supermarket with only organic products, up to very specialized stores. So I think in the Philippines now the e-commerce is coming, and so the Philippines is still a very unsorted market. So there are many opportunities. So and I think they're sorting out. You have still the weekend markets in the Philippines, where you can have, if you probably have also good deal where the price difference is not so high. You mentioned the PGS. Naturland is also cooperating with the Alliance of Municipalities, exactly dealing with this issue. But the PGS is something where you verify without a third-party certification, but you do it, let's say, on a participatory basis, which is very good for a local level. Yeah, and Naturland is now engaging to upgrading the PGS system to something that you can trade also perhaps nationwide. So with ECHOstore together, we might bring a Naturland verified PGS in, which is then cheaper for the farmers than third-party certification. Yeah, but we only do it on a small scale also because we want to support the smallholders. For bigger would be still the third-party one. So, but at the moment, it's very good for local ones. So if you, as this is the other part, many municipalities, you have such a huge level of poverty in the Philippines. And if you have remote areas and other choice, organic can really help fighting poverty. And I can see it in the Philippines where you have many initiatives, particularly by municipalities, you doing this, and we exactly, but also a municipality says we're using organic as an approach to increase yields. And we should not forget, industrial agriculture means a huge dependency on inputs that you have to buy from industry. Yeah, and of course there's money coming, and not many people like to say it because there's also business made. But from a farmer's point of view, they get dependent. This was actually in the Green Revolution the foundation of a kind of environmental organic movement in the Philippines. Mazipak, for example, very strong also with on the different rice varieties, and the history of the Philippines. Where I said this is and other stakeholders, of course, I cannot name all here, but this was really one of the issues we have to get less dependent, because farmers got very dependent. They had a huge debt, and the yields didn't increase as much as promised. So this is the problem. Yeah, that's also the myth of let's say the Green Revolution, and particular for those remote. And that's why many switch to organic, because they just don't have a choice. But this is then for very local markets, and it's completely fine. It's not expensive. On an urban scale where you have millions of people living and coming together, you need a level of trust. That's why certification coming in. So we will, I mean, what we are working on is having the traditional third-party one, of course, we will continue this, but having an upgraded PGS that we can get the products from a remote area, from smallholders, also to the shelves in the Philippines on a lower level. And there are many, the other thing is, beside of the certification, what is your distribution channel? What is your marketing system? And you have many, I see popping up many initiatives that people buy directly from a farm. So you're kind of consumers, food cooperatives. And I think it's very great. So the diversity of access to organic products will make organic affordable for many people, at least in the urban city, but even in the remote areas, if it's in a PGS or municipality level.
Yeah, right. You're right, sir. We saw last year the rise of millennial-driven middlemen selling
farm to table
goods, farm to table through social media,
That's
through
right.
Facebook, cutting off all the chains in the domestic
But
value
also,
chain.
Jasper, an interesting development in the organic movement in the Philippines is the League of Organic Municipalities. So Marco had been working with a league of municipalities who are all organic.
In the Philippines now.
So yes, in the Philippines. So they call him LOMC, League of Organic Municipalities and Cities in the Philippines. And you know, they want to band together because they are not really an activist in terms of refusing the industrial companies, but they want to empower the people in their municipalities. They want to empower the farmers. And this also ties up, of course, with my ties to slow food movement, etc. And you might call us food activists, but actually what we want is just good, clean, and safe food. So if we can teach the consumers, or if we can share with the consumers what to look for, whether it's PGS, it's Naturland, or any kind of assurance that you know what they're buying is really safe and clean, then I think we will get more consumers to demand, okay, not just coconut oil, not just coffee, not just rice, but what are other staples? There is organic certification for shrimps, for fish, you know, meat, for and meat, all that. Yeah.
I would like to ask Ma'am and Sir Marco, is it possible to have organic production in the urban areas? Because one of the biggest thrusts today of the government as part of the plant program is the urban agriculture, especially with the context again of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's start first maybe with Ms. Chit.
Okay, in my limited understanding, I would say limited because Marco is there, no? In organic systems, you do need some kind of distance from pollutants. So, if you have buses running around in the city, your building must be so high so that you can pass organic standards. Because you cannot change the standards because it's urban. There are organic standards, period. And so, like for me, I have a farm. One I call a natural farm and the other one's organic, because the other one I call it just natural. I cannot call it organic because it's beside the main highway.
I see.
But I have a farm that you have to travel 3 kilometers inwards. That is really organic. So I think that we have enough brains in Congress to define, and enough researchers to define what should really be classified as organic even before the certifiers come, because we don't want to put the punishment on the certifier, but I think when they craft a law, the organic law, etc., they must also be cognizant or mindful of what is defined as really organic. Like I said, not everything that's green and comes out of your soil is organic. So I think there has to be more information so that we're all talking, we're all looking at the same page.
How about you, Sir Marco? Is it possible to have organic production in urban areas?
Yes. I mean, from education, I'm an agronomist, and I'm a practical market gardener from education. So I always like if people making their fingers a bit on hands dirty and producing food, and they don't lose a connection. I think this is always a good thing. If you talk now, is it? And I have seen. I think in Asia, you have many cities overcrowded, and they wish to do some food. So I've seen rooftop gardens in Hong Kong. Yeah. So where you see in the background the McDonald's sign, and on the top of a roof you have some boxes with soil in where you grow something for educational things. And I've seen city farms in Singapore, even indoor, when you have it in the 14th floor of an apartment, you have it completely. So you use organic seeds, but only artificial light and everything, and also outside where you have the sorts of organic. But I think if you talk about is it according to the standards existing? Probably not, because one principle of organic in most parts of the world is it's soil bound, so that there's real soil as a basis. I think it's very important. And of course, the other part, of course, is which is we have to. I think the rooftop garden in Hong Kong, I was amazed, and also for education for pupils to understand how food is produced. It's fantastic. I would be interested, and I haven't seen data yet. What is about the pollution on the food? Because that, I think, then we are back on the head. So if you find a way that this is fine, I'm not against this, and I think it's good to support those movements, because if you see less crowded cities where you have perhaps also area. I'm coming from Hamburg, a sea town or near a sea town in north of Germany, and we have also many gardens, but there the air in many regions is very clean in the city. Yeah. So and there I don't have any problem with gardening. But if you have it done very crowded where you don't have almost no green left, then of course we have to, or people have to ask, how healthy is it? But so that means no, at the moment it will not be certified organic, but it can be a good thing that people get close to food production, that they understand how it works. Yeah. And can be a hobby. It can be everything. So, and there are also many ways. So I think this is something we should support, but with common sense, looking on how healthy these are, helping them to help the systems, because I think it's good that people deal with food and finding their approaches. Yeah, the certified soil-bound organic farming that as we know, and it's certified. That's something, of course, it's also fantastic. It can, let's say, offer a lot to our challenges towards the environment and poverty reduction. But urban farming is something, let's say, different. And in the best case, they base the idea on organic. So I think these ideas we should support. Yeah. but it doesn't need to be. I mean, but this is done between families. I mean, the certification plays here also a different, not so important role. So I think it's a question. It's not the first question you ask. It's more the question how you organize it that you can produce on urban level good healthy food, and supporting these ways. It's a helpful tool. Yeah, also to have people getting independent or more independent. But it's not so much a question if it's certified organic, because it's a family doing themselves and eating themselves. So they know what they put on it, and they can decide if they want to eat it, or it's a group of families, and so that's.
Yeah, actually, that brings me to our vegetables in Benguet, where the farmer set aside a small plot for their own consumption.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the rest, you know this, Jasper, and then the
Yes,
rest
ma'am.
are for selling. So I said, why do you separate, or even in Cavite, you know, there are pineapples that are saved for us as neighbors, and there are pineapples that are sold to the public. So, you know, farmers know, you know, they're not clueless, but sometimes Marco is right. They have no choice. Sometimes they fall prey because of debt. They fall prey to unscrupulous traders because they have to borrow money. So they have to use this seed. They have to use this fertilizer. They have to use this pesticide. But if you can remove that shackle from the farmer and let him plant his own food, he knows what to plant.
I asked that question because we saw last year the rise of new urban farmers from Lantitos, Plantitas, and for example, in a sector in the Manila, in Tondo, they converted a idle soccer field into a vegetable farm. So I just thought if maybe if they would be certified as organic, then they could have an additional market, which would mean additional income.
And I think if you will really be true to the organic way of farming, or like permaculture and all that, I think you also need some animals. So it's really a diverse environment. And so, well, probably in Tondo, they probably have chickens running around. But I was scared there when I saw that they were planting vegetables on the toxic pile up in Smoky Mountain. That one, I sort of could not yet accept, because this was toxic land to begin with, and then they started planting vegetables. But then there's so much discussions yet to be made. But at least we have an organic law. We must just, you know, implement it. And
invest.
And I think we should make consumers aware, because at the end of the day, if there are no buyers, why produce? You know, so you have to make the consumers want it to be organic.
Thank you, Ms. Chit and Mr. Marco. That's all my questions, and this is your time to encourage and entice our listeners toward organic and to promote the partnership between Naturland and ECHOstore. Ms. Chit and then Mr. Marco.
Okay, so thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to tell you about our partnership with Naturland, a very esteemed name, and it's a non-profit. I think you have to stress on the fact that Naturland is a non-profit. Dispel the myths that organic only makes certifiers rich. Okay, so my appeal is to make the consumers more conscious of the purchases they make in terms of the essentials, such as sugar, turmeric, virgin coconut oil, coconut sugar, rice, coffee, and to make sure that these products are organic, because after all, we take them in. It's our body, it's our responsibility, and it would help if consumers took more time to study what organic is all about. And we welcome questions. We have our Facebook, our website. They can always ask us on social media if they have any questions about organic products and our partnership with Naturland. Thank you very much, Jasper.
Sure, Marco.
Yeah, I think I'm so excited that despite our big differences, that I have not been visiting the Philippines since now more or less exactly 1 year, that we can still talk and be connected. And it shows that we are somehow also a worldwide community. And I think worldwide community, I mean, this is needed because we are facing as humanity such big challenges on the environmental scale. If you look on climate change, the biodiversity loss, but also in general. So I think that's fantastic that we can give this small contribution, of course, to make the world a bit better. And I think Naturland is very proud that we can help on the Philippines to give farmers support, but also the consumers a choice to live a more sustainable life, because this is so much needed to heal our earth back, to offer an alternative, because we have too much egoistic driven lifestyles in the past, and we all see, I mean, we could see in the corona pandemic, at least see many discussions thinking about how we have to change our lifestyle. And I think this partnership with ECHOstore is, of course, on the one hand, a small step, but it's also a big step, let's say, for organic in the Philippines in this direction. And so I'm very happy. I mean, the call to the consumers is, and to farmers, we need you all to participate. It's not just a one way. It's really, we need interaction. We need your engagement, and to make this change happening, also for a healthier life, but also for a more sustainable future.
Thank you for listening to the Business Mirror podcast. For a broader look on business, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Business Mirror. Until next time.